Welcome to Untold Physio Stories, a podcast that informs and educates by connecting you to rehab industry leaders who share their candid successes and failures in business and practice.
This episode of Untold Physio Stories is sponsored by Edge Mobility System. Edge Mobility System is your online site for everything a PT, OT, DC, MT, ATC, or fitness pro would need. Get certified in blood flow restriction therapy or training online. Check out our full modern manual therapy seminars, ISTM toolkit, Edge suspension trainer, portable tables, and more. Untold Physio Stories listeners can save 10% by going to edgemobsys.com. That's edgemobsys.com/untold to save 10% off their first purchase.
Edge Health and Tech Solutions. We do websites that work for you and give you an edge over the competition. Did you know that you have less than 10 seconds to capture someone's interest in your website before they click away? How about the fact that most people are accessing your website from their phone? Save thousands and get a fully mobile, appealing, and SEO-optimized website linked to your social media, email list, and Google My Business. All for one low price and no monthly fees. Why not keep doing what you do best in your business and allow us to handle the tech side? Let's get started. Find us at edgehealthandtech.com.
Welcome back to Untold Physio Stories podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. E, with Modern Manual Therapy, Edge Mobility System, and our online 4-month mentoring program, Modern Rehab Mastery. And one of my faculty members and co-host is
Dr. Andrew Rothschild with Modern Patient Education.
And of course, we have to mention that if you haven't checked it out already and you're a physical therapist or a PT student or someone just interested in rehab in general, you got to check out Movers and Mentors, a new book that Andrew and I are featured in with PTs who are probably way more famous than both of us. And we're both honored to really be in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, if you guys checked out last episode, Andrew talked about an interesting case of a cyclist, and that made me think of a recent cyclist that I actually had seen. So he was referred to me by one of my colleagues and friends who is an amazing cyclocross racer and a local PT in the area, and also her friend or her boyfriend who owns a local cycle shop. So I see a lot of cyclists for that very reason. And this guy 5 years ago had an insidious onset of really dramatic and ultra painful great toe swelling. I don't really think he tried much PT, but he went on several courses of both antibiotics and anti-inflammatories. And I think after several courses of anti-inflammatories and some cortisone shots, I think the anti-inflammatories finally made it go down after maybe 2 to 3 months or so. During that time, he was unable to really walk. He had to always wear sandals, whether it was in the winter or not. And this just also happened again insidiously 5 years later, which, as of the time of this podcast, was probably like maybe September or October 2021. So he presented to me, and he was telling me this in his history. So I expected when I saw his toe that it was going to look like what I call Fred Flintstone toe, which if you're old enough, when Fred gets his like whatever foot run over, it's always like big red and pulsing, which is also what I felt like when I actually had a gout attack on my honeymoon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Uh, they actually ruled out gout this time, and I did ask him what his diet was, but he's already plant-based and a healthy plant-based at that, because some people who are plant-based just eat like whatever, fries and stuff and chips. So that was pretty much ruled out, and he was negative for any kind of like elevated uric acid count. Uh, so this time, almost immediately, he tried some anti-inflammatories. That time, it didn't work. He had a cortisone injection just the day before I saw him, and so his toe looked almost completely normal. He said, even the day before, it was red and swollen, and he couldn't get it into any shoes. It was actually already cold winter day, or not winter day, but a November day in Buffalo. So he was wearing his sandals, which he normally wouldn't be wearing. He's a teacher normally, and he says he walks around a lot and he's been having difficulty walking. But at the time he presented to me, a lot of the pain was gone, and he mostly had some soreness and some limited range. So when I assessed him, one of the only big differences, and it was actually a very minute difference that I could see, other than some decreased great toe plantar flexion and decreased great toe um, extension, was that he had a very, very minor valgus. And, I asked him if his toe was always like that. And he said, yeah, for as long as he could remember, he had just a little bit of minor valgus, not even to the point where he's developing a bunion. So when I went further, on into his history, both 5 years ago and recently, I asked him if anything changed about his training or about the event or about his equipment. And he said, yeah, for whatever reason, there's this one pair of cycling shoes that he wears that it has a really narrow toe box, and he wore them 5 years ago, and he also wore them just recently.
Mm.
Yeah. So I said, "Do you think that has anything to do with it?" And he said, "Yeah, I really I really think it does, and I didn't think of it until you asked me." But that was the basically the one thing I had in common. So, I'm mobilizing his foot, and of course, I ruled out lumbar spine. I ruled out everything else, ruled out some neurodynamics. He did have some limited and painful neurodynamics on that side as well. So I couldn't completely rule that out, but trying like a Mulligan-esque type approach, which I can't quite call Mulligan because I don't teach for them, and I don't want to get another cease and desist, but it is very Mulligan-esque. I just straightened out his toe, which we're talking like less than 5 degrees, and then flexed it and extended it, and that made any of the end range repeated loading in plantar flexion completely pain free. And I tried adding a little medial rotation, a little lateral rotation, and it turned out that a little bit of straightening of his great toe, according to where his first metatarsal was, along with a little bit of internal rotation and repeated and range loading of plantar flexion, made that completely pain free. And then that made it so that he could go on tiptoes. His great toe extension probably improved from 60 to at least 85, with a going from a hard and painful end feel to a firm end feel. And he could easily push off and weight bear.
Wow.
Yeah. So I gave that to him. He was really excited, and I basically said, also throw away those shoes, and make sure that everything you wear probably from now on, just to avoid buildup of this, even though it's been 5 years, just wear Crocs at work, or buy something like barefoot shoes with
A
a
wide
really
toe
wide
box.
wide toe box. And he said that he did find, whether he was in running sneakers or whatever, he always found that the more wider the shoe was, the more comfortable he was, but he never really associated it with developing pain. And I can't say for sure, but it seems like just the high volume, because again, 5 years ago he went on a double bike ride, and I think after this most recent onset, he competed in a race. Then he also went on something like another 40-mile bike ride right after that race in those same pairs of shoes.
Yeah, that's a lot of volume.
It is a lot of volume for a little toe,
Yeah,
even if it's the great one.
yeah. And certain sports sort of have like climbing for sure because I have a very wide foot and it's hard to find shoes that for climbing for wide feet. Regardless, they're still going to be kind of tight. They're designed for tight. But cycling shoes are certainly tight. A lot of times, like soccer shoes, ice skates, those kinds of things are very tight. So certainly, like I don't have any trouble because I'm only climbing for a couple hours a week versus like the volume starts to add up a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I used to climb a lot in my early 20s, and I since just basically haven't had the time for that because it's a very time consuming thing. But yeah, I remember, slipping on and off the shoes that are like 2 to 3 sizes too small. They basically keep your foot in a completely plantar flexed position, so you could, grip on all those really small holds. And
Oh,
it's,
exactly.
I don't even think I could do it anymore since I've developed like metatarsalgia and I have to wear foot pads all the time. I only wear like Crocs or barefoot or very wide shoes. So
Yeah.
I don't even know if I could climb anymore. It's sad. I still have climbing dreams though. I have climbing dreams where I'm awesome at climbing and then I wake up and realize I'm probably not anymore. All right, Andrew, where can people find you?
People can find me Twitter, Instagram at a Rothschild PT, and of course, Modern Patient Education and the book Movers and Mentors.
All right. Have a good one.
Thanks, you too.
Well, you can find me, Dr. E, at Modern Rehab Mastery. That's our new online mentoring program. It includes modern manual therapy, modern patient education, and modern strength training. It's 3 months with 3 mentors, so 1 month with each mentor, 4 weeks, tons of modules, lots of CEUs, learn at your own pace for a month, then move on. So go beyond the seminar. You also get chat room with your mentees and mentors and live Q&As every week. Check out all my products, Edge Mobility System. We have the new Edge ISTM toolbox that includes the Edge Mobility Star and the OG Edge Mobility tool, our Edge Restriction System BFR cuffs. That's part of Dr. Kyle Coffey's Modern Strength Training BFR certificate. I hope to see you at a live eclectic approach course soon. That's modern manual therapy in US, Canada, and South America. And make sure to rate Untold Physio Stories 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. You could also subscribe on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. And as always, you guys have an awesome day.